cause that be natural.
Lady
I ain't
D.
looking tacky. I keep my game tactful.
Yo.
Yeah, I'm so nappy.
M.O.B.
Cause that be natural.
The infamous.
I ain't looking tacky cause I keep my game tactful.
I'm so pretty, I'm so fat, boo. I'm so natural, it's like it's a taboo. I'm so filthy, got the tattoos, stuck in these bitches like I own ragu. On my business with my platoon, getting these minutes like I'm a typhoon. Y'all this jersey on that cartoon and I'm still on top.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Afros and Baby Hairs, and thank you for joining me in the reading room once again for book review number 22 on Love and Hennessy 2, An Addictive Type of Love, or An Addictive Kind of Love by Carmen Lashay. And if you are interested in hearing my thoughts and opinions as well as details of this book, then please keep on watching. I do not promote or encourage anyone to read this book who is under the age of 18. If you are under the age of 18, please get your parents' consent and or supervision before reading this book. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's get into this book review. So I'm going to start off by reading the back of the book. And it reads, what is Ghost doing with Rodney? Do they know each other? And most importantly, who was baby Carter calling daddy? Part 2 picks up right where it left off, with Tommy being more confused and feeling more betrayed than ever. Does Ghost really care about her, or was it all just a lie from the beginning? Torn between her old life and her new one, which direction will Tommy choose to take? Will Rodney allow Tommy and Ghost to run off into the sunset and have their happily ever after, or does he have more tricks up his sleeve? Jasmine, finally having admitted her feelings for Dom, gets a dose of reality when her double standards about men and women dating multiple people backfires on her, leaving her alone and her future man possibly in the arms of another. The plot of this crazy saga thickens when tempers flares, rules are broken, and loyalty becomes a thing of the past. Join the gang for a second ride as Ghost, Tommy, Rodney, Jasmine, and Dom race against the clock, each searching for the word called happiness, while battling their own demons and attempting to stay alive in this war going on. Will everybody come out on top, defeat the enemy, and find their happily ever after? Or will they once again realize that everything isn't fair in Love and Hennessy? So next, I'm going to introduce you to the new characters that I discovered in this book. We have Kenyatta and Kenya, which are twins, and they're cousins to Tommy. We have Kalina, who is Ghost's on again, off again fling, and also a researcher for him. We have Two Time, who is Ghost's friend from his old neighborhood. You have Ghost's aunt and Rodney's mom. I didn't catch her name in this book, but she is present. You have Midas, a new potential connect. You have Kenneth, who is Amber's boyfriend. Jackie, who is Dom's ex-fiance, who is also a cracked out prostitute. You have Morgan, a chick Dominique met at a Chipotle. You have OG Menace, and that is actually Tommy and Jasmine dad. I wanted to put that in there because I didn't catch his name in the first book, but he is Menace, OG Menace. You have Jimmy, who is Tommy's driver. You have Matthew, the son of the police captain, and he's an up and coming FBI agent who is doing a little bit of work for Ghost. You have Julius, who is a new worker at Fly Guys. This is a guy that Dominique hired. And then you have Jacinta, who is actually Jackie's daughter. Jackie is Dom's ex-fiance. So this book starts off with Ghost. He is in Houston, Texas, posted outside of Henry's mom house, waiting for a call from his on again, off again fling, Kalina. She was a geek, but didn't look like one. Come to find out, Henry is a mule for the FBI, and they are not sure at this point who the mole is. Ghost finds out that Tommy is in Atlanta at the hospital. You know, Jasmine was the one that informed him and gave him the details of that entire situation, including what was going on with her mother. Ghost realizes he hasn't asked Tommy where she is from or anything about her ex-boyfriend as far as his name is concerned or where he was from or anything like that. Ghost tells Dom about Henry, and they discuss their moves and plan on rearranging the whole organization. Ghost takes a one-way trip to Atlanta and was picked up by his cousin. He didn't like his cousin calling his girl out of her name on their ride to pick up Ghost's car. You know, he was talking about his new girl, and of course Rodney, who has no respect for women, was calling her out of her name, and Ghost wasn't feeling it. Also, Ghost meets Rodney's new chick, which was Kelly. Ghost and Rodney end up driving to Amber's house, and both of them spotted Tommy standing in the door, and they saw King running out towards Rodney yelling daddy. Ghost noticed that Tommy looked as if she had saw a ghost. Ghost ran to hug her because he missed her and really took offense because he still verbally claimed Tommy as his property. So therefore the cousins, Ghost and Rodney, began to fight. Tommy ended up slapping the mess out of her girl, her bestie, for betraying her all of those years. And when Amber tried to hit her back, Jasmine jumped in and laid her out. Then Jasmine went to break up Rodney and Ghost. As soon as she did, Tommy ran back to Amber to finish the beatdown. They went at it blow for blow until the twins, Tommy's cousins, jumped in and went to work on Amber. Chelsea called them out for double teaming her. Then Tommy went at Chelsea. That's when Ghost grabbed her off of her feet, stopped her from fighting. And then Amber tried to run up on Tommy once again, but Ghost ended up knocking her out cold. Ghost put Tommy in the car. After that, Tommy argued about fighting about a man she was no longer with while pregnant. He thought Tommy was acting suspicious because she was fighting about Rodney and claimed she didn't know Ghost was his cousin. There were plenty of pictures of Rodney at Rodney's mom's house of the two of them. Pointer, he ended up taking Tommy to the hospital so that she could check on her baby and to check on her mother. Unfortunately, even though Ghost was still taking care of her and looking out for her best interests, her feelings for him had changed the moment she saw him and Rodney together. Tommy ended up going to her mother's room and still almost collapsed at the sight of her being so sick. She and Ghost had more words, and she ended up asking Ghost, was he going to beat her down like Rodney used to? He got extremely offended to the point he wanted to cut off Tommy for asking him something like that. Anyway, he basically told her she didn't need to talk to anyone about her mother but him. He didn't want Tommy to be upset anymore and raise her blood pressure. He was going to the doctor privately to get the info needed because he still wanted his baby to be safe and sound. Tommy ended up falling asleep at her mother's side from being so exhausted and drained. Picked Tommy up as she slept and took her from the hospital to their hotel suite. She was still sleeping when they arrived, so he put her in the bed. He spoke to Jasmine shortly thereafter and explained to her why he was upset with Tommy and no longer wanted to be in a relationship with her. Jasmine tried to defend Tommy and explained to Ghost that Rodney was with Tommy for many years and Amber was supposed to be her best friend. She had every reason to be upset, but Ghost wasn't trying to hear none of that because Tommy disrespected him by asking him was he going to be her too like Rodney did. So he couldn't let that fly. Ghost also asked Jasmine why was she messing around with two dudes, one being his boy Dom and the other the doctor dude. Her explanation was dudes do it all the time and have all these double standards that Amber Rose is always referring to. Then Ghost had to school her, explaining to her that women can't do what men do because a man can never get run down. A woman, however, can be run down and her walls can get wore out just because she wants to do what someone else is doing. He also asked her, would she get pregnant or catch AIDS just because somebody else was doing it? Jasmine's response was that she saw his point and decided to kick Dom to the curb since he was the least faithful of the two men. Kalina gave some new information to Ghost saying that the FBI had his address new dates and times of drop-offs, and other info making him a person of interest, and he needed to find out who the mole was inside of his camp. Ghost realized how valuable Kalina was to him and that she always had his back, so he was actually wondering why they never took their relationship to the next level. Anyway, at this point, he knew he had to get out of Atlanta and get Tommy and the baby Royalty up out of there, away from her shiesty friends and lunatic ex-boyfriend before they hurt his baby. Ghost made it up in his mind that if something happened to his baby, he would go to war about her and anybody could get it. He was headed to his aunt's house in the hood, who was actually Rodney's mom. There he ran into his friend Two-Time and they chopped it up for a second. His aunt finally let him in and was extremely happy to see him. They talked and he explained to her that he was back home because his pregnant girlfriend was taken to the hospital. His aunt was happy to be a grandma and couldn't wait to meet the girl and her grandbaby. Now, I just wanted to explain why he is calling his aunt his mom and why she's considering herself a grandmother. So the aunt actually stepped in as Ghost's mom because his birth mom was the younger sister who chose the streets and drugs and abandoned him. So his aunt is like a mother to him. Anyhow, the aunt explained that she did the best she could raising him and Rodney, but Rodney seemed to be the bad seed. She claimed that he had came by with some girl he had been running around with, and now he wants to marry. The aunt couldn't understand why he was doing Tommy like he was, and she knew that Rodney had been abusing her and had stopped bringing her over. The aunt thought Tommy was a sweet girl, and by her acknowledging her, Ghost knew it was time to tell his aunt the truth before she caught wind of it elsewhere. So just when he was about to tell her the scoop, Rodney walked in with his little boy, King Carter, or Carter King. Rodney ended up lying to Mike about the whole situation. He tried to make it seem like Ghost just stole off of him for no reason, but Mike wasn't buying it. Rodney was talking to him about finding a new connect and had his mind set on Midas. He also told Mike that he ended up with his little boy because somebody Amber was messing around with was beating her, so he went to grab his son. Rodney seemed to be in his feelings after seeing Tommy. She was glowing and pregnant. He was glad that Ghost knocked out Amber for trying to steal off Tommy. He felt like he was the only person who could abuse her and felt some type of way when someone else tried to hit her. Ended up calling Rodney asking for her son back and trying to make Rodney look like a punk for letting Ghost beat him down in front of his baby mamas and for knocking her out. She sent threats to Ghost through Rodney, and Rodney told her she would end up messing with Ghost. We find out in the chapter that him and Amber's fleeing started before he knew Tommy, but he never wanted a relationship with Amber. When Amber brought Tommy around, Rodney fell in love with her but never stopped messing around with Amber. And out of jealousy, Amber got Rodney drunk and put 1,000,000 holes in the condom one night, hoping that a baby would make him leave Tommy and be with her. But Rodney was never for sure if the baby was his because Amber had been running marathons with men. He decided to take his son to the home him and Tommy used to share because he wasn't ready to spring a kid on Kelly just yet. The next morning, he decided to take his son to meet his mother. When they arrived, that's when they ran into Ghost sitting there, and little Carter remembered Ghost knocking out his mom and beating on his dad. There was a lot of explaining going on because the little boy was 4 years old, and Rodney's mom was upset that he was just now bringing him around. Both men explained what was going on from their perspective, and Rodney had to tell his mother who his son's mother was, which made him look even more foul because his mom knew Tommy and Amber were best friends. Either way, the men ended up fighting again and breaking things in the house. Rodney's mom ended up siding with Ghost because the way Rodney acted reminded her of his dad because he used to beat her. She felt bad for Tommy and felt responsible for the abuse that girl had suffered because she saw the signs but chose to ignore them. She told Rodney he needed to fix it, but Rodney just took it as her siding with Ghost. He was also mad that Ghost had just beat him down again, so he had thoughts of murking him. He decided not to leave his son with his mom and to take him to Kelly. If she didn't accept him, she would have to go, and he would find another one that would. Tommy ended up bringing in the new year in Times Square with her sister Jasmine. She ended up praying for God to give her a sign about her and Ghost. Soon thereafter, she got a text from him telling her to tell his baby he loves her and to have a happy new year. He ended up posting a long apology on Facebook and tagged Tommy in it. He also asked her in her DM for her phone number and asked about his daughter. He did leave his contact info as well. She deleted and blocked him and made her own post. Tommy to attend the grand opening of Ghost and Dom's clothing store. She also gave Tommy a heads up of Ghost's new chick, Kalina, and explained to her that it was her fault for not allowing Ghost a chance to love her when she had him. Then Tommy clapped back and asked her about Dom. Jasmine wanted to be able to do her thing since he was doing his and couldn't commit to her. Jasmine ended up having a blowout in the middle of the night trying to pick up snacks for Tommy, so she called Ghost and a female answered the phone. After the ladies had words, Ghost dismissed the girl before chewing her out for answering his phone. Then Jasmine went off on him about her having a blowout cause it should have been him out there picking up snacks for his baby and not her. Ghost chewed Jasmine out too for going out to get the baby powder and junk food for Tommy, because he had told her to stop eating all that mess, especially the baby powder. Either way, they had to hit up Dom to go and rescue her. Soon thereafter, Dom showed up high as a giraffe, but managed to get the spare tire on. Afterwards, he followed Jasmine to her house so that he could clean himself up, but once they got there, he headed to the guest bathroom and she headed to her master's bathroom to take a shower. They somehow ended up in the shower together and had a long erotic night together, and they didn't use protection. Rodney, Mike, and Monster went to meet up with Midos, and Mike was starting to get on Rodney's nerve by constantly bringing up Ghost and how cheap they were getting the bricks from him. Then Mike pissed him off again by checking him about trying to hook up with more girls when he was just talking about marrying Kelly. He felt like Rodney's sloppiness with women was got them into this situation and was affecting everybody's pocket. Rodney was getting tired of Mike checking him and was mentally preparing to murk his right hand too. Midos was disrespected because the gentleman showed up 30 minutes late for their meeting. He was annoyed from the gate. Rodney told him they had to find this raggedy dump he had them meeting in. Midos then explained to Rodney that he didn't really take him serious because he heard about him and the things that went on in Atlanta. He told him basically that he didn't have enough bread to get down with him like that, and that he was lucky to be doing business with Ghost, who was practically giving him the bricks for free. He felt like Rodney should have been more appreciative of his big cousin than he was, and that he looked stupid for even coming to him on business. Either way, Midos wanted $28,000 a brick, where Ghost was giving him $5,000 a brick for the purest product. Rodney and Kelly ended up having an argument about a chick named Rachel who claimed she was pregnant for him. Rodney tried the same tactics he used on Kelly, and it didn't work out too good for him because Kelly had her own bread and grew up with nothing but brothers. So when he tried to raise his hand at her, she had some footwork for his balls. Looks like Rodney had his work cut out for him with Kelly. He went to Chipotle after leaving Jasmine's house. He ran into a chick named Morgan who had admired his car. They talked for a minute about cars because her dad had given her an old classic as well. Even though Dom thought the girl was attractive, he decided that he wanted to try to be monogamous to Jasmine. He had known Jasmine a few years, and she was always cool to be around and never judged him. She also had given him sound advice over the years, and he had talked to her about his last relationship that almost broke him. Dom got a call from Ghost because Dom never called him back after getting Jasmine's tire together. Anyway, Dom took this opportunity to tell Ghost that Rodney had sent in his money for the month and asked for another drop. Ghost explained that as long as Rodney was about business, then he didn't have an issue. Dom let Ghost know that he felt like Rodney was a snake and he didn't trust him. Ghost let him know that he didn't trust him either, but until they could pinpoint some foul stuff, they was gonna let him live. Dom also told Ghost he didn't trust Kalina either and thought she was suspect too. Dom was trying to send Jasmine a message, but ended up answering a call from his ex, who is now a crackhead whore who has a child. Dom explained how he was about to marry her about 5 years ago, and they were expecting a child together, but somehow along the way, Jackie got on crack and overdosed while she was pregnant and ended up killing their unborn child. After Dom left her, she turned into a crack whore, and less than a year later, she was having someone else's baby, and that made Dom feel like she had been cheating on him the entire time. Either way, Jackie called Dom because her pimp was abusing her, and she was afraid for her child and wanted to clean herself up and get away from the lifestyle. Dom decided to go get them, but he did it for the little girl and not the mom. Ghost had been on a manhunt trying to find the snitches on his team. They had finally reawakened the beast in him, and he wasn't playing with anybody. Ghost was kicking it with Kalina, but something in his gut wasn't allowing him to make her his girl, but she kept thinking that they were a couple. Even though Ghost could have had multiple women, he only dealt with one at a time because being out there like that wasn't his thing. So by him not having any other chicks popping up made Kalina feel like she was his girl. So he had to explain to her once again that he was not her man and that they were just chilling. He did like her and thought she was a cool chick, but he needed her to chill out and play her part if she wanted anything more to come of their relationship. After they talked and made out, they began to get ready for the grand opening of the new store. Kalina looked show-stopping, Dom cleaned up. Ghost and Kalina looked show-stopping, Dom cleaned up well too. When they arrived at the grand opening, they posed for pictures and began to mingle. Ghost and Dom spotted Tommy and Jasmine, and Ghost began smiling at the sight of Tommy. She was beautiful and glowing to him. When they approached each other, Tommy congratulated them, but she showed more love to Dom, and Ghost felt some kind of way. Jasmine hugged and congratulated Ghost, but got on to Dom for not calling her. She figured if he thought more of her, he would have sent more than a text. So she hit him with, "I know someone who thinks the world of me," speaking of Mark, the doctor. So Dom told her he was done with her. On that note, Dom told Ghost about his situation with crackhead Jackie, and of course Ghost thought Dom was crazy for bringing a crackhead to his house and then leaving her there by herself. The men went and did a meet and greet with the other guests. Ghost ended up running into Jasmine's mom. He gave her a fake smile and hug because he really didn't like her. They spoke, and then she hit him with, "I see you took my advice and got rid of that other girl and all her problems. Maybe now she can go bother her real baby daddy if she even knows who that is. Like mother, like daughter." Ghost had to have a woosah moment before responding. Then he told her Tommy doesn't have to go find anything because he was the baby daddy, and that Vivian needs to worry about her own marriage before he found Pops, a young tenderoni, to leave her for. Next pointer, Ghost tried to introduce Kalina to Tommy when the party had wound down and only a few guests were left in the crew. Kalina declined the offer though. She then headed to the bathroom while texting on her phone. OG Menace walked up to the men and they told him about his wife and about Dom's ex, Jackie the crackhead. Menace told him that he could be playing a dangerous game with that crackhead. He said she could be trying to set him up to be robbed or something even worse. He also asked him how did he know if the child was even hers and not a child she had kidnapped to sucker him in. Moments later, bullets rang throughout the establishment. Everyone ducked and drew their guns. However, Ghost was on a mission to find Tommy, but out of nowhere, Kalina showed up. She looked suspect to Ghost in that moment, but he sent her with Dom and Menace, and that's when Dom told Ghost that Tommy and Jasmine had made it out to the car. Then got in their truck and headed out, trying to come up with a plan of action as they rode. They took Kalina to the condo, and Ghost told her to go inside. That's when Menace told him it was something fishy about her, and Dom agreed and mentioned that he had been saying too. That's what he had been saying too. Ghost already had peeped Kalina out. He wasn't worried about her. He wasn't worried about no one but Tommy and his baby girl. So he went to check on her. They talked and got reacquainted, and then basically got back together because he realized after the shooting that he could not live without her. And if she had have gotten shot at that spot, then he would have never forgiven himself. Amber was sitting and talking to Chelsea about how she had got a team of goons together to go shoot up Ghost and Dom's spot. Obviously, this was her way of retaliating against Ghost for putting his hands on her. She organized and orchestrated the entire thing after seeing a post about the grand opening Jasmine put on Facebook. Chelsea warned her that if Ghost found out it was her, she would hate to see what happens. Then Amber warned her that snitches end up in ditches. Later we find out that Amber has an on-again, off-again boyfriend by the name of Kenneth, who was just getting back into town, and as soon as he got there, he started questioning her about her baby daddy's organization and wanted to know everything she knew about it. Next pointer, Tommy's mom had been moved to a facility close by her, so she went to visit her. She found out that Ghost had been visiting her mom regularly and had grown really close. Her mom really liked Ghost and was glad when Tommy told her they were back together. On the way home, Tommy started having contractions, and Jimmy, her driver, had to get her out of a traffic jam and get her to the hospital, at the same time get in touch with Ghost. A meeting with Matthew, an up-and-coming FBI agent who had a gambling problem, a wife, a girlfriend, and a baby mama in a house that was being foreclosed. So he needed some extra dough and was willing to get Ghost the info he needed for the right price. Matthew ended up giving him a file and a whole FBI agent. Ghost began to suspect Kalina again because Matthew delivered what Kalina should have been able to deliver. Ghost went to one of his warehouses to go through the file. Then he met with Dom so that they could go torture the dude for answers. They had snatched him up the night of the shooting because he was one of the shooters. The only thing they got out of dude was a girl from Atlanta set up the shootout, and her dude paid everybody. The boy didn't have any names, so immediately they thought Rodney was behind this, but couldn't figure out who the chick was. The torture got interrupted by a call from Jimmy. He told Ghost that Tommy was at the hospital in labor. However, it was just Braxton Hicks, and she was ordered to stay on bed rest. Ghost ended up doing Lamar's class with Tommy. He painted her toenails for her, and she finally started asking him about how his days are, because in the past she only bombarded him with her problems and never asked him if he was okay. Ghost told her he was getting things cleared up. Tommy volunteered her services like she used to for Rodney, and Ghost got pissed because he would never let his woman cook up crap. He had to explain to Tommy that he and Rodney were on two different levels. Anyway, the two of them finally had a romantic rendezvous. The next morning, he told her how he truly felt about her, and then popped the question after sliding a huge ring on her finger. Of course, Tommy said yes. Business was booming at Fly Guys even after the shooting. They didn't have that much to get damaged. Tom took Jackie to see another apartment that had central air and heat, all electric appliances, remodeled floors. The master bedroom had 2 closets and a half bath. There was a second room for her daughter and a full bathroom, kitchen, and living room. When Dom looked to Jackie for approval, she claimed the apartment was too small. Dom reminded her that she showed up to his house with 1 trash bag of clothes and had just left a 2-bedroom whorehouse that occupied 8 people. He paid the deposit because he was tired of taking her to look for a place, tired of her being at his place, and tired of her never being satisfied. They ended up taking Jensina to Chuck E. Cheese, and when Jackie and her daughter ran off to play games, Dom went to get tokens. He felt someone hug him from the back and got pissed because he was a germaphobe. But when he turned around to see who it was, he saw Morgan, and that changed his mood because she was a cool chick. They had hung out a few times since meeting at the Chipotle. The two of them chatted for a minute about why either of them were there, being that neither had children. Morgan explained she was there with her nephew, giving her sister a break, and Dom explained his situation with Jackie and that he was just basically Uncle Dom to her daughter. That night, back at Dom's place, Jasmine came over and was greeted at the door by Jackie and her daughter. When Dom made it to the door, he asked her why was she there and what did she want, and she flat out told him she was pregnant. Pretty much narrowed the perpetrators down to Rodney and Kelly, when in actuality it was Amber and Kenneth. But Ghost didn't know all of this information yet, so he blamed Rodney, claiming he violated and now he had to be touched. Ghost went by his old condo to pick up a few of his things, only to find it was disgusting. Trash was everywhere, empty food containers, half-eaten food, empty bottles, clothes thrown all around, and dishes piled up in the sink. The place smelled as bad as it looked. He was disgusted. His condo looked like a dump. When Kalina finally made it in, she was carrying shopping bags and was happy to see him. He, on the other hand, looked at her in a different light after seeing that she was really a slob. Kalina asked Ghost where he had been for 2 weeks, and he told her that Tommy went into false labor, and after leaving the hospital he took Tommy to his house. Kalina replied with, "Why can't you hire someone to be with her?" And Ghost told her he wasn't about to have random people in his spot. Plus his baby mom was his responsibility. Kalina snapped back with, "Your responsibility? The same baby mama who I found out wasn't actually your baby mama at all, but somebody else's baby mama?" She went on saying that she draws the line when it comes down to Tommy moving in with him. After choking her down, Ghost responded to her by reminding her that he didn't ask her how she felt about anything and told her that her opinion didn't matter to him. He also told her that if it came to Tommy and his seed or her, there wouldn't be a choice to make because she wasn't on the options list. He told her to give him 50 feet and that her services were no longer needed. Ghost had already peeped Kalina's true colors, the attitude and the suspiciousness about her. While Ghost was at Walmart trying to get Tommy some snacks, he got a call from Matthew to tell him about a time and place they set up to meet the informant. Matthew texted a New York address that threw Ghost for a loop because he made it his business to only do legit business He did his legit business in New York and drug business in New Jersey. Ghost ended up leaving Walmart to head to New York and post up. When the informant's car finally pulled in, Ghost recognized it because he was very familiar with that car. There was only one person he knew that drove a car like that, and that was his pops. And that's basically where this book ends. So I just want to give a few of my thoughts and opinions. I don't have many because basically this book speaks for itself. I just feel like this book is full of scandalous people, especially the women these dudes are messing over. Everyone is looking suspect at this point and nobody can trust nobody. The next one is the relationship with Ghost and Tommy is still, couples goals. I just wish that her new boo wasn't related to her old boo. And the last thing is, I also think Jasmine's mom, Vivian, is the snitch driving her husband's whip to go meet with the FBI. And that is some crazy stuff to be sleeping with and breaking bread with the enemy. However, it wasn't revealed yet as to who was really pushing the Rolls Royce. Like I said, this was an interesting book. I am ready for book 3. Because it seems like everything is just really getting started with the betrayal and the disloyalty. I do still suggest that you read the book for more insight and details so that you can get a better picture as to what is going on. Make sure that you comment below your thoughts and opinions. So yeah, guys, that is about it. All for joining me today in the reading room. I really appreciate your time and energy. I look forward to seeing you all on the next book review. Peace and love, and as always,
DJ Mike C on the track.
cause that be natural.
Lady
I ain't
D.
looking tacky, I keep my game tactful.
Yo,
Yeah, I'm so nappy,
M.O.B.
cause that be natural.
The
I ain't
infamous.
looking tacky, cause I keep my game tactful.
I'm so pretty, I'm so faboo, I'm so natural, it's like it's a taboo. I'm so filthy, got the